What's up, y'all? I'm very excited today because so many of y'all gave me shit, we're just gonna call it what it is, for not having the XT4. So today I'm changing that. Just gonna slide that in right there. That is the XT4 we're about to be testing. We're gonna be comparing it to the GH5. And now when I say what I wanna say, I ain't gonna get no more shit from y'all. It's gonna be, well, he has the camera in hand now. So we're gonna be doing an autofocus test. We're gonna see what the F-log look like, the internal profile, do a bokeh comparison to the GH5, like using the same equivalent lens. He has a 16 to 55 f2.8. I have the 1235 f2.8, so it's equivalent of 24 to 70. We may go into stills. We may do some similar photo shots just so you guys have something to look at. First of all, make sure you follow my boy Isaac. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and plug yourself real quick.
At Isaac White TV on Instagram, also www.isaac.white.tv, and that's my website.
And I'll make sure I link him down in the description below. And we got my boy here. You know, I'm making music videos.
Yo, let's go. We on set. Let's get it. Woo! I already know.
You know he was gonna be here. So let's get into the test. All right, what's going on, y'all? Let me know how the audio is doing. Very curious to hear you guys' feedback on that. We are currently using the Daddy Mic S Mic 2S video. This video is not sponsored by Daddy, but they did send me that, so shout out to you, Daddy. So to add a little context to certain parts of the videos, I'll be hopping into, you know what I'm saying, this is the future. So this is future Sean speaking from me watching the video back myself and just some of the things that I learned from it. So the autofocus on the XT4 is actually, it's pretty phenomenal. What I did with the autofocus test was I end up putting the XT4 and the GH5 like just in the default settings. I didn't want to tweak anything. I just wanted to see how they would compare based off what each camera manufacturer thought how the autofocus should be. I just kind of want to see how it performed in that regard. And honestly, man, as you guys can see, like the XT4 autofocus is actually pretty good. I didn't get too much posting, like in some part, like some random clips I did, you know, some video clips that's not shown here, but just overall, it is actually significantly better than the GH5, no lie. God, it's not even close. God damn. Sean, the moment I put the box on the item, it's gone. Like boom, boom. And it's so quick. Now don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying, the GH5, you know, she tried, my baby, she held her own, she, you know, did as best she could, but in scenarios like this, when you have subjects that's consistently moving or popping in and out of focus, just the way contrast-based detection is versus like phase detect, it's kind of like it's a no-brainer. Like phase detect is going to perform a lot better than contrast in most situations. Go. Listen. Go. Now, in regards to the IBIS, we did a couple of different tests here. I did one just kind of like just walking with it, just regular, and I didn't use OIS or I didn't use the software stabilization, only because I don't even use it on my GH5, and that's just not something I would use in no scenario, honestly. Like, I think the camera is, I think that the GH5 IBIS is good enough. I don't really need to do anything to like lock it, and because when you start getting like those weird warpy effects, and I didn't do this with the XT4. I just want to see how the IBIS was, just again, straight out the box. You get the camera and you just want to see how it performs. The IBIS test, this is how I performed the IBIS test. And I did a slow regular speed ninja walk, and then I kind of did like an aggressive walk. And honestly, the XT4 held its own again. I say the GH5 is like a little better, but it's not even nothing to be like, oh my God, the GH5 is, no, you know what I mean? Like, for the most part, I would say, you know, if we had to give a rating, if the GH5 is like a 10, the XT4 is a 9. So. Now, here's a test of 240 frames per second. I'm gonna be real, like I told you on the last video, this is not something I would use. It's nice to have, but I'm not a huge fan like that. It looked kind of like cell phone-ish. Like, it's a little bit too soft. I know you can add some sharpening to make it better, but overall, this probably won't use 240. I'm cool on it. I don't need something that slow. I just don't. Now, in the XT4 clips, I shot all of these in F-Log. I brought the bitrate down to 150 megabits per second versus the 400 just because this card wasn't that big, and I don't want to sit there and eat up too much of his resources. I don't know what else he had to do throughout the day. So I was trying to be very considerate of that. So I just did everything 150, but I did shoot it in F-Log. So what I'm going to do now is show you guys just a process of how F-Log grades. I'm going to walk you through like just me grading one clip and, you know, just one specific clip, just to kind of show you how it grades and how it can come out. But I can tell you right now, F-Log actually grades quite well, and on top of that, I thought it was going to be resource hungry because it's H.265 files, and I thought that the flexibility probably wouldn't be as great as something like the GH5, due to the fact that the GH5 actually has true 10-bit 422, and the XT4 has 10-bit 420. Now, again, that's with chroma subsampling, you know what I mean? So it's not like you're going to be sitting here like, you know, noticing the difference, but what I can say is this: F-Log is actually like very flexible. Okay, I would definitely say that when you make tweaks and certain changes, it's not like it just drastically, you know what I mean, changing the colors or the variance. It's like, it's actually pretty subtle, and it gradually comes in. I love that about that. Like, F-Log is actually quite amazing.
Like, it seems fine.
Sean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay. All right, y'all, so we did, as you guys can see from the test footage, the XT4 is actually dope as hell. Like, not gonna lie to you, I haven't did any grading yet, so I might just do that as a separate video showing, like, telling you guys what I think about the grading, how easy it is on a, you know, how easy the codec is to grade, and the platform that I use, which is DaVinci Resolve. But I do want him to kind of talk about some of the autofocus things that he's noticed, and then I want to have him talk about the focus, like the custom dials and things of that nature, so that way you guys can get a real response from somebody who actually uses the camera versus me being a one-time user. So as far as the autofocus and things of that nature, how easy is it to fine-tune the autofocus features, period?
It's not quite as quick as I'd like it to be, but once you're in the menu, you can dial it into where you need it to be. So if I know I've got more narrative set up to where I'm going to be doing some smoother transitions, I can slow down the speed at which it responds. If I know I've got a subject that's maybe jumping in and out of frame, I can tell it not to jump to the next thing to find in focus right away. But you do have to sort of pre-plan with that. And that's definitely something I've noticed with Fuji's cameras, just overall, through the XT3 and the XT4 and then the other models I've gotten to play around with, is that they're cameras that kind of demand your attention in a good way. There's not really it's not a coincidence that it looks like an old retro camera. Like, you have to treat it like an analog camera and give it the respect it deserves in that way, to where you have to be fully engaged with it all the time. Okay. But it doesn't get in the way. Okay. So I'm assuming you're 100% comfortable with using the autofocus on a professional job. Oh yeah. I have used it on a professional job before. Okay. Yeah. We won't go into the job, but.
My next question is then, as far as like quick need settings. Now, for somebody like me coming from the GH5, I love the fact that every button on my camera, for the most part, I can set it or customize it to whatever I want. So that's one thing as a GH5 owner I was concerned about, because I don't know how customizable the buttons are, and if the buttons are not customizable, how are the actual quick need settings as far as getting to frame rate?
So the XT3 already had a lot of the custom button functionality. They've just boosted that more in the XT4. So in video mode, I can actually turn off the use of these analog dials, which I know kind of frustrates some people, and use it more like a traditional Sony or Canon or Nikon, in which you can just use the command dials to hop around to your aperture, ISO, shutter speed, what have you. So we don't have to have just these 8 items. You can change what items are on here and what order they're in and how many are there. So let's see if I can change that for you.
Like I seen the menu you had up.
Oh yeah.
If I wanted to jump from 60 to 24, it's just as simple as hitting a button and.
You can just touch right into it, just like you would anything else.
Now I'm just about to start talking about just like my overall thoughts about the camera and even in regards to stills. So we just start with stills first, and stills are being pictures. So the pictures coming out the XT4 in comparison to GH5, again, like, you know, it's a difference, but it's not like too noticeable. Again, we end up switching lenses and going back to like our 24 to 70 equivalents, and overall it was just honestly just a good focal length and just a really good test to kind of see what you can expect for pictures. I will say the Fuji XT4 pictures are probably like I would give them a slight advantage over something like the GH5, but the GH5 is not, primarily a photo camera. I think the GH5, for most people know, is video first, photo second. So the XT4 definitely wins in this regard. Now moving on to my final thoughts and my overall thoughts, and it's something like, now that I've actually had my hands on with the camera, and we're not going to spec for spec, we actually just going on like what are my actual thoughts about the camera, and do I change my mind as far as like if I will upgrade to this camera or not. Okay, the XT4 is a phenomenal camera. I would say that in comparison to my last video, there's some things I spoke too soon about, prime example being the autofocus. I kind of took for granted how autofocus can make or break a decision, you know what I mean? Like, man, in comparison to my GH5, the XT4, like, I almost want to say it's like night and day, you know what I mean? To be real, like, it's just the autofocus is just a lot more, it's just faster, it's just better. It is what it is. My overall thoughts about the camera now and what I upgrade or what I switch. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, when I first was playing with the camera outside and I was talking to Isaac and my boy Sean, I'm like, oh man, I gotta get this camera. It's dope, it's fire, the bokeh looks good. But the thing that really kept standing out for me was the autofocus. When you come from a camera that don't really have superb autofocus, it's okay, it's usable. So a camera that actually has like pretty good autofocus is realistically the only thing that XT4 really has over the GH5 is autofocus. Like, that's the only thing that I can really talk about with that camera in regards to like what I remember most about it. It was just the autofocus, and again, that's just me having a camera that doesn't have good autofocus. Another metaphor, if you out in the desert for a long time, somebody offer you a cracker, that's gonna be the best cracker you had in a long time. It's so good, you ain't had a cracker in, a few months. You just sit there, man, you put, it's a steak on there, it's just really good. So that's kind of how it is with the XT4. It's like, I go from not really trusting the autofocus too much to like, well, I can actually trust this one. But the thing is, if you're a GH5 owner, if that's something not important to you, like if you're just a manual focus shooter, or you're doing like a lot of set work with manual focus, or you have a focus puller, then it really doesn't matter to you. And then you actually benefit from the GH5. That's the verdict. If you own a GH5, no, it's not worth you to upgrade and change your whole production up, because you're gonna, if you want to trade your camera and not spend no money, you're gonna have to trade everything again. But if you don't own a GH5 and you're in the market for a camera, definitely grab the XT4 without a doubt. I think they did a fantastic job with this camera, and I was really happy with the experience that I had with it. So other than that though, let me know what you guys think about the video, man. Also, don't forget to let me know what you guys think about the audio quality. Just kind of give you a heads up, we're connected to a H4n Pro, the DDS Mic 2S, and then we're just feeding that right into the GH5. That's why I did the little clap at the end to sync it up. But I'm really curious to to kind of hear what you guys think about the audio. Got some more reviews coming up. Got some more product reviews coming up. Company's been sending me some stuff. Your boy we've been rocking, y'all. So I appreciate the love and the support. If you're new to the channel, make sure you sub, because we got some heat coming. And catch you on the next one. Deuces.